This tutorial is still for 125, but it is for the square column. This is just going to be looking at a multi-view drawing and sketching it from there versus the conduit bracket that kind of told us step by step what to do. So first thing at the bottom is a circle. Now we could do it two ways where you have the um, square, like a rectangle, and then we revolve it like we did with the conduit bracket, or we can just do a circle and extrude it. So we are going to do the circle simply because we're given the diameter. And since there's no hidden lines, we know that the bottom circle as well as the top are both 1.25 and everything is in inches. So in Onshape, we're just going to go back to those three lines and then the workspace units and make sure that the default is in inches, since in the conduit bracket we changed the unit to millimeters. So just double check that it does in fact say inches. So we're going to create our sketch on the top view because we're going to be creating a circle here and extruding up. We don't want it to extrude out or to the side, so we want it to go up. So we're going to do a center point circle, which you can also click C on your keyboard. And you just have to click in the origin, move your mouse out, click again to place it, and just type 1.25. You don't have to click anywhere else. And then just hit enter. And then I am going to move this out a little bit. So I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard and just drag this out a little bit more so that it's following proper dimensioning guidelines. So now we can hit the check mark. I'm going to go to my 3D view. Whoops. So I can see the extrusion happen. And I'm just going to hide all my views so that I can see it a little bit better. So the extrude tool up here, you can also click Shift E on your keyboard. Click on your circle, and I forgot to look. So we have that it is a height of 0.5. So we're going to put the depth as 0.5. Enter, puts it down, check mark, and we have the first part of our extrusion. So next is creating you can't really tell from this view if it's a cylinder or a square. So we come to look at the top view and we can see that it is a square. So we have that from the center of the circle to the edge of this square, it's 0.25 inches, which is half of this square here. So we know that the square itself is a width of 0.5 because you just do 0.25 times 2. So we're going to create this sketch now on the top of the cylinder because that's where we want to extrude it from. Go to my top view. This you do want to do a center point rectangle so it is centered over the origin and over the circle. So click in the origin, click to place the square, and just type in 0.5. Oops. Now I got to fix the bottom because I did 0.5 instead of 0.5. There we go. And now that dimension's all the way out there. Zoom back in and then move that outside as well. So now we have that square portion. You can go back to the isometric, hit the check mark. And now we're going to extrude it. So if we look here, we know the full height is 2.5. And we know that the height of the top part here is 0.25. And the bottom here is 0.5. So we can either subtract that and do the 2.5 minus 0.25 minus 0.5 to get what this is. Or you can also add up these portions here and subtract it from these measurements as well. So the fastest is going to be doing the 2.5 minus the 0.25 minus the 0.5 to get 1.75. So that's going to be the height of the square here. So we're going to extrude. So that was a example where you would have to do the calculations from the dimensioning, but everything is there that you need. You don't have to do any big math. Any calculations you do should only be basic math. So we said it's 1.75. Check mark. Zoom back out. Voila. Now we just have to do the circle up here, and we'll come back to these circles at the end. So we're going to place a sketch now on the top of the square. It's another diameter of 1.25. So create a sketch on the top of the square. Notice how the blue line is up here. Center point circle again, origin, drag it out, click, and it was 1.25, enter. And notice how you don't really see it because it's around the other circle. They're the exact same size. So escape on your keyboard, bring your dimension outside. Check mark, back to that view so you can see your extrusion. Now, when you go to extrude this circle, notice how you can get two different parts here. So you have to click both in order for both to appear. So notice if I just click the circle, it makes a hole there. So you also have to click the square to make it solid. It does not matter which one you click first. If you click the square and then the circle, or the circle then the square, does not matter. And this was 0.25. So I'm going to change my 1 to 0.25. And we have the basic outline. We just have to make the circles here. So I'm actually going to put this on the front view because if we look, front view is here, and that's where our circles are. So we know there's 3, and we know they're placed 0.25 up from, or not 0.25, sorry, 0.5 up from the top of the bottom circle. So what I'm going to do first is create a sketch on this plane. And I'm just going to do center circle. To make sure it's centered, if you just hover over where the origin is, notice how it put this dotted line for me. From over here, it doesn't. Not until I get over the center, it puts it there. So you can just kind of place it somewhere around here. Then I forgot what the diameter was, 0.25. So I'm just going to do 0.25. Hit escape. And we can add what's called a rectangular pattern. So we don't want circular because that makes it in the form of a circle. So what we're going to do is a linear pattern. Click on your circle. And we want it to go up. So we don't want 3 that way. We want 0. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the space. So we don't want any there. So we're going to actually just drag it in. And then here, we want it to go up 1. And we want 3. And we want the space in between to be 0.5. So we have all of ours here. This will say 1 because we want only 1 in this direction. So if you were to drag it, notice how nothing follows. And we have our 3 circles. And then notice on my mouse, it has the check mark to click. So I'm just going to click. And that places all 3, and they're all spaced 0.5 apart because that's what we're told here at 0.5. So now we just got to make sure from the bottom of the square to that first circle, it's also 0.5. So I'm just going to come over here to the dimension tool, center of the circle. You can do the top of the circle because you're not really going to be able to select the square. And we want 0.5. Now it shifted all 3 of them up. I'm going to hit escape, check, go back to this 3D view so I can see my circles. And now my extrusion, we're going to do something similar to the subtractive modeling. So notice add, it's bringing them out. So we want to remove, so it goes the opposite direction. And instead of blind, we want to do through all, so it goes through the whole shape. So if I go to the front view, we can see that it's going all the way through. Check mark. And again, if you look from the front, you can see the holes are hollow. And that is the square column.